We are living in an age where networks are the backbone of virtually every aspect of technology. And the power to automate and innovate lies not just in the hardware we use, but also in the language we speak to it. In so many words, this represents the bridge where networking meets programming. And Python is a perfect language to speak for network engineers. In today's video, we're going to peek behind the curtain and get started down the path towards getting comfortable with Python as a network engineer. While seasoned coders might juggle between sophisticated IDEs like PyCharm, or Visual Studio Code with its Python extension, or even the classic approach of simply downloading Python directly to your PC. Today, we're going to chart a different path. We're diving into Python using Replit. So why Replit, you may ask? Well, first of all, it's super simple, easily accessible, and extremely versatile. It requires no installations, and it also allows you to write, run, and share code from any browser, anywhere. It's the perfect launchpad for network engineers stepping into the world of Python. Now, Python's a very powerful, high-level programming language known for its readability and flexibility. And for network engineers, it's a gateway to automating mundane tasks, analyzing network performance, and so much more. But in today's video, again, we're going to start with the basics. But first things first, let's go ahead and create our project or our REPL. And we'll go ahead and search for our Python template, highlight that, and I'll just name this Python 01. We'll leave it public. Again, this is a free account. So definitely head on over and create your account. And I'm going to share this link throughout this mini series so that if you want to follow along. And, again, we got our screen here where we're going to type our code. And we're just going to take small steps here throughout the course of the next videos in this mini series. And so we're going to be typing our code here primarily in this window here. And when we're ready to run our code, then, of course, our results will appear here in the right-hand pane. We do have a shell, but we'll get into that later. Again, we just want to be introduced to the basics today. So let me go ahead and start by noting that our program, of course, main.py, with this extension .py, that's how we know that we actually have a Python file that we're playing around with. And we could click here and rename it, but we're just going to go ahead and leave it as main.py for now. So let me go ahead and quickly type some boilerplate code real quick. So if we were to go ahead and run this code here, again, we can see that our output here is going to be simply displaying network device information. And then we, of course, have some pieces of information or data here. But how did we derive or get to that point? So let's go ahead and simply start up top. So we see here that we have some items highlighted in green. This is basically some information about what we have, kind of like a title. And this, again, is preceded by this hashtag or octothorpe, as they call it. This is how we comment in Python when we don't want something to be displayed in our output. As we can see here, we don't see this, nor do we see this line or this line here. But we do see that we have some items here. And then again, we have some print statements here. So let's go ahead and take this one by one. And first, we're going to start off with variables. So we can really think of variables in Python as containers that actually hold a value. And so in Python, we need to make sure that our variables do not start with a number or we would get an error. So if I were to, let's say, prepend a 9 here and then click away, we see the red squiggly mark here that denotes that there's something wrong that Python doesn't like. And again, if we hover it over, we can get some more information there in our debug. And we'll be going over that again here in the upcoming videos. But for now, let's just go ahead and get our feet wet with our understanding. So what we've done here is we've declared a variable, not really declared it, but we have created a variable named device name. And this equal sign here, the second part, is really our assignment operator. And that's what's going to tie or bind the two together. And then on the right side, we have our value of router 01 that basically is going to be held inside of this variable device name. This again can be changed in our code later. So that's what we mean by it's kind of like a container or bucket that just holds the value. And so why do we have these quotes here? Well, there's actually different types of data in Python, and we're going to talk about that right after we get through this print statement. But our most basic type of data typically is a string. And so that's just our alphanumeric characters, our sentences, text, those different things that we typically manipulate. If we wanted to basically assign this device IP, if we wanted to, let's say, make a new, let's say device underscore QTY for quantity, and let's just put a value of 10. Again, we know we wouldn't have 10 routers with the same IP address, but this again, we don't see any parentheses here, and this again is an integer value, or basically a number that doesn't have a decimal. Now, another type of value, like we just said, is a float. And a float is basically when we have a decimal value, or if we're dividing two whole numbers, Python will put the or convert it to a float and put the dot value. But for now, again, to keep it simple, we're just gonna manipulate strings today, but just wanted to demonstrate or show you the difference there. And so that, again, that's our three parts. Our variable name here on the left, we have our assignment operator to basically bind or tie the two together. And then, of course, what's the current value that that variable is holding? And that's kind of basically our simple variable assignments there. And then we move down into basically how do we print? Print is basically Python. It's one of the easiest functions to understand. It's when we want to display output, typically to the user or to a device, or we can actually output it to text or a CSV or a spreadsheet as well. But we just want to basically, we're outputting this here to the terminal. And as we can see, we have the format or the syntax, the rules for basically writing it without getting that squiggly line or errors. Is we basically, one of the ways, we'll talk about different ways to perform print value. This is our standard way, our method, is to just basically type print, and then we have our parentheses, and then we have our quotes, which again, we could actually put single quotes here as well, but we just need to make sure that it's the same on both sides. And we'll get into, again, in different videos why we want to do that. And well, I'll get into it now. So what if we wanted to basically say, if we wanted to use that here? Well, we're gonna get these red lines because Python, the interpreter, doesn't know where this ends or begins, because we have 3, an odd number there. So in that case, we would then need to change these to double quotes if we wanted to basically use a single quote or an apostrophe, and everything would be all good there. We don't need this to be plural, so we'll back that away. But again, when we want to output, like we can see here, basically our display, then we need to basically, inside of those quotes, we'll just type what we want to be outputted, basically verbatim. And what the comma does is it automatically adds a space we see in between device IP, that semicolon, and then the next, we have a space there. So let's go ahead and clear our history. And we can also, if we wanted to use a different type, we could use our plus symbol there to basically combine our standard output here with, of course, the value of our variable, which is router1. But if we did this without the comma, we do need to add the space there. So now I'll basically clear the history there. And if we run this again, we'll see that 2 different ways of outputting that, as we can see there. So that's our basic, simple, standard print statement. And then I spoke earlier about what's our type. So if we wanted to know, like, let's print, and that's again our a function, and let's say what's the type of, let's name, we'll do device name, any of our variables, and we'll basically output that. Now let's go ahead, and I told you there's different ways to comment. Let's go ahead and do 3 of these single quotes there, and let's basically cut these out, and we're just gonna basically, this is how we do a multi-line comment instead of just a single line there. We're basically commenting all of this out, and that's because we just want to go ahead and output that. Well, actually, I take that back. we do need to see our variable declaration. So let's move it below there. There we go. And let's try that again. So we talked about strings, integers, and of course floats, and we see that this is actually a string. What we're going to do next is, let's say we want to take the input. We don't want to manually provide the value for our device name or the IP. We want to ask the user for that. So let's go ahead and we'll get rid of this part here. And let's see. Actually, let's not do that. We'll keep that. We'll keep that. But now let's basically do our conversions. So instead of us manually typing it, let's say, let's be interactive. And the way to do that is, if we want to get our device name from a user, is we just type input. And we could leave it blank, but the user wouldn't know what they need to type over here on the right. Like right now, if we were to basically enter that, it wouldn't prompt it. We'll see here in a minute what I mean. So let's put, please enter the device name. Then we'll proceed that, or put a space after that. And we'll do the same. Actually, let's just do the same for all of these. And so basically now whatever the user inputs is basically going to be assigned to the variable. So we'll put device IP, and we'll put device type. And so now if we run this code here, similar to the same thing, now we're going to actually, the interpreter is going to wait for the user to type something. And so if we put the device name, let's put switch 1. Please enter the device IP. Let's put 8.8.8. Please enter the device type, and we'll put Juniper switch. And then again, because we are basically already have our print statements ready, then it's basically gonna print out what we just had there. So, but again, these are just the basic concepts, or at least some of them, as we of course move on in the next few videos to demonstrating it. So I guess my challenge here is to, if we wanted to put a space in between here. And so last thing before we get out of here is, again, we cleared that history. Let's clean that up a bit. We saw that it looked a little jumbled, and there's different ways we can do it again to basically accomplish what we want in Python, similar to any other kind of language, just like in networking. There's multiple ways to do it. But if we wanted to add a new line character or carriage return in between these, we could simply do a print statement with nothing in it. So if we run it, and here let's just type ABC to get to it. If we put A, B, C, then we see that we have that space between it as well. But another way that looks a little bit, I think it looks a little bit neater, is to basically type our backslash, and then for a new line, we type it in, and then of course if we clear that and then we run it again, All right, there we go. We get the same result. So just again, different ways to basically insert a new line or carriage return if we need to properly align space or someone's looking for the output to be a certain way. All right, to get rid of this here again, just quickly looked it up. We need to basically open this replit file, this config file here. And then at the very top, we need to basically type disable install before run. And we need to change that to true. I've read that there's an issue with the current version, and I guess I'll press Control S, but I don't know that we need to save that. And let's try to run this again. Let me Control C, exit that. All right, let's see. Okay, there we go. So I'll paste that in the chat as well. But again, we basically need to go to this replit config file. It'll appear here in a separate tab, and then we just need to paste this in. But again, we basically scratched the surface of what Python has to offer for our network engineers as well as anyone that's using it, but predominantly in our field. And there's so much more to come in the upcoming videos, and definitely hope you enjoyed this one. And I got a quick challenge for you here again, and I'll type it here real quick. 1 second. All right, so just quickly, I just came up with that story there. Again, I'll put these back in, but let's actually, let's put it here. We'll move these around. Apologies. Again, trying to think of this stuff on the fly. Hope you guys and gals are actually enjoying this. So this again will be the challenge. I guess we need to comment that out for now. All right, there's our code. All right, print. And we used a different method, the f-string method of printing. I think we did that right. Let's say, why is that red? We changed this variable when we were typing out. So, that wouldn't make sense. Let's see, why is that underlined? Line is too long. Let's run this and see see what it says. All right, so we'll having fun today. All right, we'll get rid of that. All right, let's run our code. So what's your favorite color? I'll say, oh, that's fine. All right, number. I messed that up. All right, redo. Let's see. Now I'll go through this instead of editing. I'd like to edit on the fly. So let's do filling. We'll just say, how are you feeling today? What is your favorite ice cream flavor? Let's add this. Cleaning up. All right, so let's see, when you are filling, and then we'll put filling there. All right, there we go. And big shout out to you if you can think about what this is going to output. All right, so how are you feeling today? I'll put happy. What's your favorite ice cream flavor? It's a tie between cookies and cream. And yeah, put chocolate chip cookie dough. Cookies and cream. Enter number. I'll put 2. All right, so we know when you're feeling happy, just simply have 2 scoops of cookies and cream, ice cream, and everything will be all right. So now we see our output. And again, we know that after we enter this, we probably need to put a space in between there. All right, let's see. Oh, what is that suggestion? All right, let's see. All right, so that'll put a space in between. Enter a number 1 through 10. All right, so we probably need to do that, and then let's put 2 spaces. What's your favorite ice cream flavor? We'll do the same there. How are you feeling today? We did 1. All right, so let's try this again and see if that looks better. So how are you feeling today? Sad? What's your favorite ice cream? Let's put vanilla. Enter number 1 through 10. Let's put 5. All right, we got a space. When you're feeling sad, just simply have 5 scoops of vanilla ice cream and everything will be all right. All right, cool. All right, so basically, again, that's just a small challenge. We'll try to do a challenge based off of these kind of micro sessions that we learned here today. Let me fix this up. And like I said, I'll definitely be sharing this Replit link. So again, feel free to partake in this challenge, and I'd love to see what you guys and gals come up with. But again, I think they'll do it today. And like I said, I've not been doing Python for too long, but man, it fascinates me just the sheer amount. I think even as we speak, like I said, I don't read this every day, but they definitely see the bookmark there. I'm probably about page 80. Second time reading, I didn't work on the labs all the way through, but Python we can actually apply to our everyday life. But like I said, when we can use something that can help us day to day on our job, then it can definitely become instrumental. And like I said, for years I kept making excuses on why I'm not a coder, I'm not dev, etc., or I'm stuck on this, I'm stuck on that. But like I said, once you break through those barriers and you kind of embrace the challenge and just pushing through and know that there's a community out there for all of us. I mean, it's thousands of different venues, channels, newsletters, books, whatever that can help you. We all learn and absorb things in different ways. And like I said, I know this video, like I said, I like kind of keeping it real and not over editing or removing mistakes. But like I said, as I try to put together about 8 to 10 videos here that of course will culminate with us being able to read and manipulate files as well as to communicate with a network device, then that's our ultimate goal about 10 videos from now. But like I said, for those that this is their first exposure to Python, just again, trying not to overwhelm. And like I said, hopefully I did a okay job at presenting this information, and appreciate you guys and gals for bearing in with me. And I won't overtalk this one, but definitely enjoyed myself here today, and hope you come back for the next video in this series where we're diving deep into Python. It's not only for network engineers, but we're gonna kind of cater it towards that with our imaginary, like I said, end goal there of being able to manipulate files, which doesn't have to be with a network engineer, but to communicate with a switch, a firewall, or a router is our aim at the end of this series. So I just want to thank each and every one of you out there again for always rocking and here with me. And until next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves. Peace.